Welcome to Enjoy English. I'm Alice.
I'm Betty.
And today we are on day 2 of our Good Eats unit. Remember, we're talking about Canelé, the secret recipe. The French pastry is enjoyed around the world, right? It's not only in France. We talked about how it's also in Taiwan too, right?
Right. So this is a fun unit to read for me personally because, it's always good to talk about food, right? So
I would say that today we should maybe talk more about
how it's like today.
Right.
We talked about history yesterday.
Right. Maybe more about what, the modern aspect of do people still eat it? Is it still popular? Who knows, right?
Right. Let's find out.
All right, let's find out.
Canelé, the secret recipe. The cannelé is a significant part of French heritage that is enjoyed all over the world. Philippe Bailardron is the son of a pastry chef from Bordeaux. In 1988, he started a company that sold only cannelés. His brand gained popularity and started selling the tiny cakes in airports and train stations. Other companies also set out to specialize in the tasty pastry. Chefs around the world are making changes to the original recipe. In Japan, you can buy matcha-flavored cannelés. In New York, lemon and caramel are very popular flavors. They can be found at fancy stores like Louis Vuitton and at local bakeries. Many chefs also place things on top of the pastry. Strawberries, cream, and chocolate are just a few common toppings. People have also begun making cannelés at home. Copper molds can be bought online. Other molds are also available, but many people think copper is the best because it absorbs heat better than other materials. Just like with most pastries, learning how to make cannelés takes time, patience, and practice to perfect.
All right, let's get into our first paragraph. We start with, the cannelé is a significant part of French heritage that is enjoyed all over the world. So if it's all over the world, right? Not just in France, but everywhere in the world, they enjoy it, right? They think it's delicious, and it's a significant part, which means important, right? It's not just some small part. It's a significant part. It's important.
对，那老师讲到 significant 这个字，这个字其实呢很常考，所以要稍微记得一下。那它的意思就是重要，它很重要，它意思就是重要的 significant。那它的名词 significance， 你可以把 t 改成 ce， 就可以把它变成名词了。所以我们就讲到啊，可丽露这个甜点啊，它其实呢在 French heritage 是我们昨天讲过，有一点难的字，就是文化遗产当中是非常重要的一部分 ，a significant part of French heritage。那他又继续补充，这个遗产文化财产它怎么了呢 ？That is enjoyed all over the world。不只是法国人，现在全世界人都还蛮喜欢吃可丽露的。
Philippe Bailardron is the son of a pastry chef from Bordeaux. So this person, right, they explain that I don't know if he himself, I guess he's not a pastry chef himself. Otherwise, they would say that he's a chef. But he's the son of a pastry chef. So, and he's from, remember that Bordeaux, that city, or I guess town maybe, in France. So he's from Bordeaux, and Bordeaux is like the origin sort of this pastry.
Right.
So that's pretty cool. There's some significance there, right? Using that word.
Right. 所以我们就讲到啊，这里有一个人叫 Philippe Bailardron， 又一样的，又是一个很难的字，这个又是一个法文字啦。那我们就叫他 Philip 先生好了，这样比较好念哈。Philip 先生呢，他是 the son of a pastry chef。那Alice 老师刚才也说了，他应该自己不是一个糕点师傅，不然我们就会说，他是一个糕点师傅。我们这边讲说 the son of a pastry chef， 所以他其实是一个糕点师傅的儿子儿子。那可能看到爸爸做这个，就把它发扬光大。OK， 所以呢，他是 the son of a pastry chef from Bordeaux。
In 1988, he started a company that sold only cannelés. Oh, okay. So this is why we're talking about him, because he made a company that sells it's strange because usually bakeries would sell all sorts of pastries, but he said, nope, just Canelés, nothing else.
Right. And he is probably the first one that did it, right? So yeah, that's why we're talking about him here. 他应该是第一个就是专门开一间店，然后只卖可丽露的人。所以在1988年的时候呢，他就开始了一间公司。那什么样的公司呢？我们有看到一次形容词子句 that sold only Canelé， 他只卖可丽露哦。
His brand gained popularity and started selling the tiny cakes in airports and train stations. And actually, that's kind of smart because, like, transportation hubs such as airports, train stations, bus stations, whatnot, those places, you have travelers, right? And when you travel, you get hungry. So maybe they see those delicious little cakes and they're like, oh yeah, I'm hungry, I'll have one. Right. I think it's pretty smart of him.
And also need to get souvenirs sometimes in the last minute, right? So you'll probably grab some Canelés.
That's true. That's also a very good, actually, that's probably even more likely than just being hungry. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, maybe both.
对，我们就在聊说，为什么呢？他在哪里卖？His brand gained popularity。那这同学要小心哈 ，gained popularity， 我们把它划线起来，就是变得越来越热门、受欢迎。我们说 gained popularity and started selling the tiny cakes， 他就开始卖，在哪里卖呢 ？In airports， 在机场，还有 train stations， 它只在那种交通运输的枢纽。刚才 Alice 老师讲到一个字 hub，H-U-B， 这个就是交通的枢纽。那我们就聊到说，为什么只在火车站啊跟那个机场卖，可能就是因为旅客多，那有的时候你会肚子饿，你买一个，那有时候刚好最后一刻你不知道买什么，赶快买一下那个纪念品给你的家人，所以我们是猜测它应该是这个原因。
Other companies also set out to specialize in the tasty pastry. So tasty is a good word. It means instead of if you're tired of just saying delicious all the time, you can say tasty. Because I think sometimes if people describe their food with just good or delicious, say more things, say tasty.
Right, and also flavorful.
Flavorful, right?
Flavorless.
Flavorless, bland. Yeah, these are all so many good words to describe your food.
对，我们就讲到，我们昨天其实学到了flavorful。Flavorless， 那还有加上今天的 tasty， 好吃的tasty。其实同学对这个字应该不陌生嘛，因为西提的英文就叫 tasty， 对不对？那个牛排馆，所以大家一定要记得啊，西提好吃 tasty。我们在替西提打广告，就是我们在记这个字啦，好不好？这样记 other companies， 所以呢。这个 Philip 他开了第一间专卖可丽露的公司之后，其他的公司呢 also set out to 就是开始做一件事情，可是通常你是有决心的，你是有目的的，所以你会加一个 to， 然后表示你的目的。Specialize in the tasty pastry。 Specialize 我们知道 special 是很特别的，所以 specialize 就是专精于什么，后面会加 in specialize in something。好。
And that's all we have for the first paragraph. Let's take a break and talk about paragraph 2 next. Okay, paragraph 2. So it says, chefs around the world are making changes to the original recipe. So changes, right? Means that it was something before and now it's something else. So they're making changes to it, and that means they're the ones who are doing the changes, right? So the original recipe we talked about, right, is very simple, right? They just said egg. I believe yesterday we said it was egg yolks and flour, right? So those two things. Or was it egg whites? Well, I can't. Well, either way.
Yolks.
Okay, it was yolks. Okay. So it was egg yolks and flour, right? So maybe people just get tired of just a plain recipe, so that's why these chefs all over the world, not just in France, are making changes.
Right， 这个其实还蛮有趣的哈。原本在法国，可是同学我们看一下第一句，它是用现在进行式，代表说，现在全世界人都还在做的一件事情，就是 chefs around the world are making changes。现在呢，他们在做一点改变，让它变得更有特色。To the original recipe. Original 呢就是原本的。那同学其实 original 这个字很好用。如果你要形容一个人，非常有创意，我们也可以说他是 an original person。有很多的 idea 都是从他那边来的。你也可以说 that's a very original idea.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say fast. Original, yes.
Original.
In Japan, you can buy matcha-flavored Canelés. So matcha is very popular in Japan, and even here in Taiwan, I think. I like matcha. So they kind of added their own special twist to it, right? They made it matcha-flavored. That sounds pretty good too, in my opinion.
就是呢，我们来看一下哈，其实它接下来就会介绍在不同的地方啊，它其实都有发展出有一种在地化的感觉。那像在日本 ，you can buy matcha flavored Canelés。Matcha 就是我们讲的抹茶，那老师就说他很喜欢吃抹茶，我个人是不喜欢，可是很多日本人跟很多台湾人其实都超喜欢吃抹茶的。对，那 matcha flavored， 我们就又学到一个字，有 flavor。我们上次学到 flavor 是有口味的意思，什么口味的？那你如果要说这个东西把它变成形容词是什么口味，你就可以说 matcha flavored 加 ed， 在这个字加 ed。那如果是香草口味的话，就是 vanilla flavored 巧克力 chocolate flavored， 你自己去变换，这个字还蛮好用的。所以在日本他们有抹茶口味的。
In New York, lemon and caramel are very popular flavors. So, like, it's kind of just depending on the region, right? In Japan, matcha is very popular, so they made a matcha flavored one. And in New York, I guess lemon and caramel are very popular with the people for some reason. So, and those are good flavors, right? So yeah, those are very popular there. That's pretty cool to see.
Right. 在纽约的话，我们来看，他们就说柠檬跟这个焦糖口味是他们蛮受欢迎的口味，可能是这个口味他们也还蛮熟悉的，就可能不是说我超级爱吃 lemon 或超级爱吃 caramel， 但是这个两个口味的甜点应该是在美国还蛮常见的，对吧？柠檬口味跟焦糖口味，对。
They can be found at fancy stores like Louis Vuitton and at local bakeries. Wow. So kind of a change from only being at, airports and train stations, but also, yeah, like bakeries make sense, but Louis Vuitton, they sell clothes and bags. It's kind of interesting to...
And column A.
Yeah, I guess. Right. So I guess I'll also have a pastry while I'm shopping in case you get hungry. Or maybe they're very expensive, though, because Louis Vuitton is an expensive store, right? So maybe these are fancy desserts, not just a simple one.
So it can be fancy or simple and simple at the same time. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
我们在聊这个可丽露真的很不简单，它的范围客群很广，从 Louis Vuitton 就是我们讲 LV， 台湾人讲 LV， 但是我们出国的时候经常把它讲 Louis Vuitton， 因为好像全世界只有台湾人讲 LV， 对 Louis Vuitton。好，那这个就是 LV， 在 LV 有卖，还有在哪里 ？Local bakery， 所以在地的一些小小的面包店其实也有卖，所以我们就说了 ，they can be found at fancy stores。Fancy 就是我们讲的很高级的，所以你可以说 fancy restaurant 高级餐厅。Do you wanna, have lunch at a fancy restaurant with me later today？ 这样子哈 ，fancy 这个字，我觉得最近好像蛮常出现的，所以同学可以记得。那就是 fancy stores like Louis Vuitton， 所以 LV 有卖，那当地的一些面包店也有卖。
Many chefs also place things on top of the pastry. So again, not just the plain pastry anymore. We put maybe, I don't know, strawberry, right? That's pretty popular. Or a lot of people like to put chocolate, like fruits, other fruits. And we'll talk about that at the next sentence. But yeah, you could put things on top. Not like in the middle, but on top.
然后我们就来看到，所以很多不同的厨师、不同国家人啊，就开始实验一下可丽露可以怎么变，他们就把东西加在可丽露的上面，所以他们这里就讲到 put things on top of the pastry.
Strawberries, cream, and chocolate are just a few common toppings, which I guessed it right. Yeah, strawberries are pretty popular, chocolate, and cream. So again, it's just too simple, plain by itself, maybe with the traditional recipe. So people want to add things and also make it cute in addition to tasting good. Yeah.
那我们就讲到 plain 这个字啊 ，plain P-L-A-I-N， 它就说很平凡。那所以原本是 plain pastry， 原本是看起来很平凡无奇的，那我们就玩一些新的花样。那我们说东西放上面，那可以放什么嘞 ？Strawberries， 草莓有放上去了 ，cream 奶油 ，chocolate 巧克力。are just a few common toppings， 所以这里只给你一点点例子。我们讲 top 是上面，所以 toppings 就是上面的配料。比如说什么会有配料？比如说 pizza toppings，配在那个 pizza 上面的。还有比如说 toppings on the ice cream，ice cream 上面你也可以加一点焦糖啊 toppings。
Those are like the two things that probably have the most common usage of toppings. So yeah, that's great. Pizza and ice cream, like they'll ask, what toppings do you want? So that's what they mean. That's good. All right, so let's talk about paragraph 3 right after the break. All right, paragraph 3. Here we go. We start with people have also begun making Canelés at home. So we don't have to go to Louis Vuitton to buy these. We can make it at home. I don't know if it's easy or not, but people have also begun doing that. So maybe in the past they didn't do it, but now they've started to.
In the past, the recipe was a secret, right? We talked about that yesterday.
So they didn't know how to make it. They just had to guess. Maybe that's why.
Right. So yeah, there's a benefit of being, living in the 21st century.
Yeah, now we know how to make it if we want to.
对，我们就昨天有讲到说，其实以前的 recipe 呢很珍贵，不是你想做就可以做，你必须要是 excellent chef， 你必须要是很厉害、很顶尖的厨师。但是现在21世纪，大家呢想吃的话，你自己其实在家里就可以做咯。People have also begun， 这里是一个完成式，就代表说，其实可能在这之前，大家就开始有慢慢接触，在家里自己做可丽露，这里是完成式 ，making Canelés at home， 所以在家里就可以完成了。
Copper molds can be bought online, which is very handy because if I asked you, where can I buy a copper mold? Like, which store do I go to? Most people would be like, I don't know, right? It's not a very common thing to see in a normal store. But with the invention of the internet, we can buy things online. And copper molds, which we need to make these Canelés, are sold online, so it's very handy.
Right. So it's pretty easy to get all the tools you need to make Canelés these days. 他说 copper mold 就是我们昨天有讲到的那个铜的那个模具，其实现在你要买很简单，上网买就可以了。
Next we have other molds are also available, but many people think copper is the best because it absorbs heat better than other materials. So copper, right, again, we talked about is the material. You could also use other things, I guess, right, just other types of metal. But it said many people think it's best because it absorbs heat better. And I guess that makes it's better for baking. I don't know that much about baking, but I think ideally we want the item inside to absorb heat, right? We want it to get hot and then bake well. So yeah, that makes sense why if it does absorb heat better, then I imagine the product inside would also be better or taste better.
Right. Yeah, we imagine it to be this way.
Again, we're not baking experts, but this is just our guess.
Right. I'm also thinking, we're on the same page. I'm not going to bake here, but probably copper molds Yeah, it says here absorbs heat better. 那我们来看一下这里absorbs heat better. Absorb 就是吸收，所以其实为什么要用 copper mold？ 我不能用别的吗？它前面就有讲到 other molds are also available. 其他款的用不同金属的 are also available. Available 是一个很重要的字，就是可以得到的。所以呢，比如说你去买鞋子的时候。Are these still available? 这个鞋子还有吗？还有货吗？你去订房间。Is there any room available at the moment? 有没有房间 ？Are you available tonight? 你今天有没有空？所以它其实可以用在很多的情况下。那意思的话，当然同学要自己稍微去转换一下，就是稍微翻译一下。那 But many people think copper is the best. 就大家就觉得铜是最好的。那为什么？后面有讲原因。Absorbs heat better. Absorb 这个呢，稍微比较难的字，它是吸收的意思。那吸收你可以吸具体的东西，比如说你可以说 sponges absorb water，那个海绵宝宝那个海绵会吸水。海绵会吸水，那还有你也可以说人 absorb knowledge，我可以是吸收知识，所以你可以吸收抽象的东西。Then other materials， 比起其他的材质来讲，它算是吸热是最快，所以它导热啊，里面的东西受热应该会最均匀才对。
Just like with most pastries, learning how to make Canelés takes time, patience, and practice to perfect. So it's not so easy perhaps, right? But if you have enough time, have enough patience, right? You don't just give up and quit, right? You practice, then you can make it perfect.
Right. So here we actually get a few very good vocab words here. 我们一起来看哈 Just like with most pastries， 就像你在做任何的甜点，其实呢 learning how to make Canelés你要学怎么做可丽露，当然了，不管是做哪一种，做蛋糕也是做泡芙也是 takes time， 一定是花时间。那同学要小心，花时间不是 cost time， 它是 take time cost money。一个是加时间，一个加钱。Patience 就是你要有耐心，这个一样它的 A 它是长音的 A， 所以我们请老师再发一次。
So it's patience. Don't say patience or something like that, right? We want to say patience.
对，那你如果把 patience 的 CE 改成 T， 它就变成了一个形容词，跟我们前面讲那个 significant T 变成 CE 其实有一点像，所以 patient 就是在讲人是有耐心的。把 CE 改成 T。And practice to perfect. Practice 就练习。那这里同学们发现，我们把 perfect 发的有一点点不一样呢，这代表说它的意思是不一样。当动词的时候 ，perfect 重音在第二个音节，就代表说你让什么变得完美。For example, you want to perfect your English so that your English sounds perfect. 当形容词的时候 perfect 重音在第一个音节，同学要特别小心。
I just realized I think I said that wrong the first time.
No,
so
yes,
you're right.
You said it right.
Oh, I said
it
right. Okay. I was like, wait a second, did I say it wrong? Yeah, we have to be careful. Yeah, perfect and perfect. It sounds very similar, but just a small difference. So, okay, good. I thought I said it wrong. All right, let's take a break and talk about vocab. Okay, time for vocabulary. So our first word is significant, right? It's important, very significant.
对 ，significant 这个字很重要，它意思就重要的。
Yes, it's a significant word. Popularity. So how popular something is, right? How do people like it a lot? Or it's like, oh, not so popular and not many people like it.
Popular 呢是有人气、受欢迎，它是一个名词。那老师我刚才有讲到 popular, P-O-P-U-L-A-R， 它是它的形容词。记得 popularity 要用 gain popularity， 变得受欢迎。
Next we have set out to do something, right? So I set out to, I don't know, go to work or something, right? But usually set out, we want something a little more focused than just, I don't know, set out to do my homework. You could say that, but maybe more like I set out to I don't know, go to school, work hard to become a great chef, right? It's more like some sort
determination.
Yeah, there's some sort of goal in mind.
对 ，set out to 就是着手做什么事，可是通常那个目标要是远大的，或者是它需要比较努力才能达成的。那像我们这边就是 set out to specialize in the tasty pastry， 它是要做一个糕点，所以说它必须要是比较集中，然后比较难一点的东西，着手做什么。
Next, we have make changes to, right? So if you want change can be like, oh, change happens. It was something and now it's something else. And if you make changes to it, that means you're actively like changing it.
对，这个就是做改变。那记得同学要记得后面要加 to make changes to something。那这个 to 是介系词，所以你不要加动词原形啊，你要加名词在后面哦。
Next, we have fancy, right? So something that's very high class, sort of, right? Something fancy, something not just like common or everyday. It's fancy.
对，这里呢 fancy 就是高级的，就老师刚才有讲到 high class 也是另外一个高级的字，相反词就是 common 很平常的。
Next we have absorb, like a sponge, right? A sponge absorbs water.
Absorb 就吸收，那它可以吸收抽象的 knowledge 或者是具体的 water 这两种。
Next, we have patience, right? You must have patience when you want to learn English, right? It takes a long time.
Right, 所以同学要学英文要有耐心啦，每天看我们节目 ，patience 就是耐心。
And then finally, we have perfect, right? So this is the verb we say perfect, like perfect the art of pastry making, right? Perfect.
这里要小心 ，perfect 就是改善 ，improve，make something perfect 的意思。那它这里是动词 perfect，重音在第二个音节，特别小心。
And that's all the time we have today. We will see you all next time. Bye bye.